Many people these days are asking not only about approaches to investing in silver, how they should go about doing that, how much to allocate, etc., but increasingly they want to know when should they actually sell their silver? When will be the right time to do so? And this is an important question because of one key principle to which we'll keep returning. That is that the price action in silver over the course of the next 1 to 3 years is likely to be so unbelievable to so many people, and to so dwarf any gains that preceded it, that without a roadmap that helps us to act sensibly, impervious to all of the noise and emotion that tries so hard to occupy our attention and govern our decision making, we could find ourselves making missteps or timing the markets incorrectly, and missing out on the returns we hope for. Even though this video is titled Exit Strategy, the time to exit is not yet. In fact, the game is only just beginning. I believe fairly sincerely that there will come a time in the not so distant future that people will look upon prices of $50 or $60 per ounce of silver as being extremely cheap, and will look upon any bullion dealer selling the metal at that price with suspicion and uneasiness because they won't believe it's possible to get such a good deal. This, however, may be a time during which smart money is quietly allocating some of the profits towards mining stocks or selling bullion. Many of us are aware of the 4 phases of a bubble, and how we're probably moving from the awareness phase to the mania phase, which is the exponential increase phase, in which silver's price absolutely takes off. The graph here doesn't necessarily have a timescale, and it may be the case that we're in awareness phase before the mania phase is in full swing. When it comes to buying and selling any asset class, the difference between success and failure is timing. Timing is everything. The catalysts for what many in the precious metal space expect to be huge price rises are many and varied. The most obvious one is the continuous printing of Federal Reserve currency. So devaluation of the currency, meaning that you need more currency units to purchase the same basket of goods, or in this case, to chase a fixed quantity of silver in the Earth's crust. We see a reduction of silver mine output because of lockdowns amid rising industrial demand from China. More silver is being used for renewable energy sources such as solar, which continue to outperform other sectors. Silver even has military applications, not only in planes and warships, but in cruise missiles, which usually contain at least 500 ounces. But even if these factors weren't sufficiently bullish, a real catalyst for silver's continuing price rise, which perhaps isn't getting quite as much attention as the other factors listed, is political instability. Many people underestimate the degree to which precious metals rise in tandem with a generalized collapse of confidence in government. If this was confined to a small failed state, say in Africa or another far-flung country, the impact on global commodity prices would go unnoticed by all but professional traders, and would certainly be unlikely to change dramatically. However, many economies around the world are in the throes of the global health issue we hear so much about. Global unemployment broke 300 million recently, and during such times, the safe haven status offered by changeless elements such as gold and silver commands a premium which is robust and growing. Macron recently announced a 9 p.m. curfew to be rolled out in 9 major cities including Paris. Merkel has announced tougher restrictions throughout Germany. Of course, she grew up in East Berlin, so it's almost as though she's invoking or perpetuating the political repression of her childhood. Since breaking out a few months ago, silver has been consolidating and now sits at around $24 per ounce. Let's look at what analyst and friend of the show Chris Vermeulen says about that. And if you haven't already seen it, then you should certainly watch this video, as Chris absolutely nails it with his analysis. And there's really nothing that I can disagree with.
And now we're still in this phase here where is silver going to rally and extend from here, or are we going to continue to see it move lower and break that 22? So we're not out of this multi-month consolidation. It looks like it's put in a bottom, but it hasn't confirmed a new uptrend yet.
Okay. And from where we are today, looking forward until the end of 2020, what are your charts showing you as far as the Q4 outlook for silver?
Silver, I mean, a lot of it's going to come down to what happens with the election, how big some of these stimulus plans are, talks about how many trillions are going to get dumped into the market. I heard somewhere the other day that they were already looking forward and talking about potentially like $40 trillion going to be implemented. I don't know where I heard that, but I heard it on someone talking about it. And that was some of the rumors. But I think a lot of what precious metals are going to do, it has to do a lot with how much money is going to get printed. Obviously, if the stock market keeps going higher, it is going to be a little bit of a headwind for the precious metals, for silver. But the more printing there is, the more bullish it is for silver. So we could have this kind of rally where precious metals move up with stocks. They perform very well, maybe even outperform the stock market still. So I'm looking for $34, $36 for the next upside in silver. If we look forward a year from now, it's really tough to say what's going to happen a year from now. But I think we might still be somewhere in this range, because I believe that while silver may rally up, may even go to the $41 per ounce level, I think there's eventually going to be some market correction in the stock market that pulls precious metals down with them. And so we could come back down to this level, $22, $30 range. And then a year or plus from now, we rally back up and we go much, much higher into the 50s, the 80s. So it's going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride.
The first thing that I should emphasize, getting back to the topic of this video, is that everyone's approach will be different, and there's certainly no one-size-fits-all way of managing a portfolio. It depends on so many different factors. This video, however, is aimed more at the buy and hold investor as opposed to the trader, although I know that people do both, especially in the precious metal space, so we won't be going over a great deal of technical information here. The aim instead is to offer a broad brushstrokes outlook on what's coming up over the next few months and years, with a couple of key moments of interest noted which could impact the prices of silver and how to manage your portfolio. So, we're in the awareness phase, and during the awareness phase, what you should be looking to do, if possible, is to accumulate a certain amount of silver on a regular basis, say every month or every few months, or every quarter. Figure out a budget and stick to what works for you. Some people choose third-party vault storage, others keep it at home. But keep accumulating. If a 50% price rise truly is on the cards between now and the end of the year, with silver reaching $34 to $36 as Chris suggests, then we may be in the calm before the storm, and as such it makes sense perhaps to allocate slightly more capital than normal to accumulating additional silver during this period, in anticipation of a rally. If there is yet more stimulus in the US economy to the tune of trillions of dollars, every dollar you spend now on silver may be worth 50% more in nominal terms in just a few months. So I think the window of opportunity at which to buy silver at these low prices is closing and closing. If we look at the charts here showing the silver bull run back in 1980, it's very interesting. These charts aren't mine. I have James Anderson of SD Bullion to thank for these helpful graphics. But if we transpose the gains shown by gold and silver in the late 1970s and early 80s onto today's price picture, we see the likely spike which is on the horizon. The precise magnitude of the peak is something that we can only guess at, as is the speed at which we'll get there. But at this pivotal time, my gut suggestion is to keep accumulating silver while it's available at these low prices. There's some evidence that the older generation is accumulating silver already. A lot of them were schooled in the value of sound money before we went off the gold standard in 1971, but the general public who aren't that interested in metals are likely to continue in ignorance for at least the next 8 to 10 months, finally taking notice when silver begins to rocket past $50 an ounce in the second half of 2021. But people are unlikely for the most part to pay attention to begin with, as silver's price movements will be taking place against a backdrop of rising unemployment and domestic civil unrest, uncertainty about the future, and distrust in governments on a global basis. These trends will be the foremost in the minds of many people, but by the time they do take notice, they'll buy in themselves, which is likely to drive the price higher, perhaps past $80. A lot probably has to happen between now and that $80 silver price target, however, geopolitically and economically, in terms of the gradual rollout of the digital Federal Reserve central bank digital currency, which at first probably won't replace paper currency, but other things will be happening too, such as the loss of confidence in government, the US inauguration in January 2021, German elections next year, the rise of domestic and international conflagrations, and more. The US has a debt of $26 trillion, which is why interest rates can't increase even a tiny bit without blowing up the balance sheets of the banks and rendering the budgets unsustainable. It's far from clear what the route to $80 or higher silver will look like. Will it be a straight line up, or will there be some consolidation after key price targets, with the markets coiling for a while before the bull run resumes? The future is anyone's guess. My base thesis is to try and accumulate silver at the lowest possible prices. Anything under $30 an ounce, I would essentially consider a bargain at this stage in the game. So don't worry too much about purchasing in the 20-something price range, as you still stand to at least double your investment in the next few years. Many people hold back from investing because they think that the price will drop to a low which they will be able to time perfectly. It's a nice theory. It might drop, but it might not. There's never a perfect time to buy in. Therefore, the biggest mistake is not to buy in at all, because that's the only way that you can guarantee yourself no returns. If you buy in, it drops, big deal. It's eventually going to rise again. The key is to be prepared to hold your silver stubbornly until it reaches certain expected price targets. Some long-term investors will differ both in their view of silver's eventual upside price target and in their approach to selling their silver. My own personal perspective, just to break things down so they're as simple as possible, is that silver will exceed $90 sometime in the next 21 months. The fact that I don't know when that will be is less important than the fact that investing today and selling whenever it does reach $90 nets you a cool 367% profit. So with that in mind, perhaps let's consider my proposed framework, which would be to purchase silver only for as long as its price sits below $50 an ounce. That might sound obvious to many listeners, but even after reaching $50 an ounce, silver could still double in price or go much higher. So why would I attach that proviso to my approach? Mainly to preserve my own sanity. I need to be able to assign clear, distinct phases to the price movements of silver. I realize that after it goes beyond $50, people will be riding run-ups and run-downs, and I guess that it'll probably drop below $50 per ounce after it reaches this target. But having this rule prevents me from being double-minded about the investing strategy I adopt, which I believe is the biggest enemy to long-term gains. So yes, accumulate at less than $50 per ounce, and then hold and never sell below $75. That could mean holding for a while, we'll have to see. If all you do is that, then you'll have basically won, because you're going to be selling at much higher prices without worrying about silver collapsing in value. And then at over $75, I'd probably rotate gradually out of silver and shift into mining stocks, which may lag bullion in terms of gains at first, but should outperform silver once the parabolic price phase of silver is over. But the selling would probably have to be tapered. Each time we go up, say, $15, I'd probably sell a certain tranche of my coins. But to be completely honest with you about what my gut tells me, the price of silver may rise so fast that it may not be possible to predict that I can sell my coins at price X. I could put some for sale at $75 per coin and then find overnight or over the weekend that silver has shot up to, say, $103 a coin. It's certainly possible, especially if there is some announcement or event that causes people to question the existing fiat currency system. For example, an announcement that paper currency will be cancelled or wound down in Europe, with large denomination banknotes being removed from circulation, for instance, or tightening of regulations concerning Bitcoin, or tightening of movement restrictions, or a demand that everybody has to have the track and trace app, or whatever the case may be. Any or all of these things, or something similar, represent the same government collapse phase that we're in, which isn't only bullish for debt and war, but is also bullish for the silver price. So those are just some thoughts. I hope that this hasn't been too depressing, but I'm just sharing my boil down with you on this. Let me know what you think is coming in the comments below. Basically, I've said what I think. I'm going to leave it there and stop ranting. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.